This Cheap Joker coming at you today. What I'm going to be doing is replacing the motor coupling on a Kenmore 80 series washing machine. First order of business is to take off the front of the washing machine. You do that taking these clips off. They just snap off. There is a Phillips head screws on each end, and we're going to go ahead and loosen those. We're going to lift this top cover off, and right in here there's a connection. We're going to go ahead and detach this little plastic clip. There's just a little clip that kind of clips on, and then what we're going to do is we're going to pry these off. On this there's just some plastic little plastic clips on the back of this. As you can see right here, it just goes in place of the back of this. But as far as the metal piece, what you're going to do is usually you should be able just to pry it out. Probably take a screwdriver, get down in here, just kind of pry it up. Sometimes you might have to do that. Clip's going to come right off. You're going to do the same thing to the other side. Now, important thing to note, when you're taking this off, you see how this tube came unhooked here? You are going to want to make sure when you reinstall it, this tube is on there. I had a problem probably a year and a half ago, not because I took the washing machine apart, but this tube apparently just slid off, and what it ended up doing is flooding. The water went over the basket and it drained out the bottom, and it pretty much flooded this whole area. After you get all of this done, this front of the washing machine will be able to pull right out. Now what I'm going to do is remove the front of the washing machine, and by how to do that is you lift it forward, and you should be able to just kind of lift, and it just slides right off. Now you have access to the motor down there. Next, what we're going to do is, you see these two clips? We're going to just pop them off, and this is just going to slide off. And all we're going to do is just create some access, because we've got to get a, it's going to be a 1/4 inch, and what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and remove that. We've got another one, which is right here at the top, just above. And now these are going to have these clips. It's kind of like these that held this piece on. Same thing with this motor. So all we're going to do is just kind of pry it out, and you'll have to do it for the top as well. Just get it in there, just kind of, and then the motor is going to fall down. And then what we're going to do is going to pull that out a little bit. You may need to disconnect this to give you a little bit more working room, where you might be able to pull this motor out a little bit. Now you can see there's the coupling, and this is going to come off, and you can see how, and then this metal piece, roughly speaking, this metal piece should be in this plastic piece, but this is where it's falling apart. But this piece goes on the end of this motor here, and then this piece goes into this rubber piece, and that's what kind of turns and is going to agitate everything. It's just worn away, that rubber piece right there. Now this is the old piece, and this piece, this metal piece, sat in there, but through time it just wore the plastic away, and I've tried to pound it in there, and it would last for a little bit, but then it would come unseated, and it just wouldn't work, and that's why it's not spinning and agitating. So what we're going to do we are going to put this new piece. As you can see, the metal piece is already embedded into this. So we're going to start off by removing this. Okay, and you see another coupling in there? Right there, we're going to end up taking that out. I want to show you though, you see where that's cracked? See the crack right there? And that's where, that's also part of the problem because it's also cracked here. Alright, we got the old piece out, and I'm going to show you, that's the old piece, and here is the new piece. See how much that is worn away. We're going to go put this back on. What I wanted to show you, as far as getting this piece on, you want to be very careful. I used a socket and then a socket extension, and I'm careful. I chose one that is going to be the same size as the metal part. Like say for example, here's the old one. I wanted a size that was going to be making contact with the metal part, not the plastic. If you choose a socket that's too big, what will happen is say for example, this one's too big obviously. If I start pounding this in, because it does go on kind of tough, what's going to end up happening, if you use a socket too big, you're going to wind up in this position where it's going to actually knock out the metal part from the plastic, and that's going to degrade the strength of this coupling. So you don't want to do that. We've got the metal part, or the rubber part, which is going to go on like this. Okay. And the other piece, which is going to go on to the end of the motor, which I'll get a better shot of that, is going to fit like that. And when the motor spins, it's going to end up spinning this, which is also going to agitate the basket. Here's the part of the motor. This piece is going to go on the motor like so. Same thing, if you do decide to tap it in there, just be careful. You're probably asking, how far do you tap it on? And this camera may not. I'm gonna try to get some light in there. Okay, you see that little lip? What we're gonna try to do is tap it so it's right next to it. So that's what we're gonna shoot for. Now that we've got the this attached to the motor, and it looks like it's pretty much flush when it went back to that very back lip. Looks like it's pretty much flush. It looks like the axle here is just sticking out maybe a millimeter. I do want to show you the clips. This is that one clip that was actually holding the motor up, and all it does is it slides into this loop, it clips up, and then it had the bolt. The other one is going to be up here at the top. Same thing, just a little notch in there, and it's going to hold the motor up. Well, I am going to try to put the rubber piece on the basket Porsche coupling, and maybe I can turn. All right, there. Now we've got to get the other piece, snap it in to hold the engine or the motor up. Before putting this back on, you might want to go ahead and put your screws back into the clips here, because once this is on, you can get access to the top, but the bottom one you might have a little trouble with. These clips, all they're going to do is they're going to slide in, just turn them. You're going to clamp over this white. That's that. Make sure you plug in. You plug back in your things you unplug to have access to the motor, behind the motor. Make sure everything's plugged in and seated properly. We're going to install this back on. We're going to do, the side is going to rest on top of the lip. The bottom is the one that's going to actually go up underneath the front. And then this is just going to set down on this. We're going to make sure the plastic piece is pushed forward where the water is actually going to come in. we are going to attach the electrical plug here. And before I get this front all attached and everything, I'm going to just test this out just to see, make sure it works. Now on this washing machine, the switch for this lid broke years ago, so mine with the lid up will actually work. The basket will wash and do what it needs to do. For you at home, you're probably going to have the lid closed because of the switch. But I am going to test this out. Works. Install the dash. Now these plastic pieces, you're going to want to make sure they're in the slot. Make sure the tube is set. And this one, as you can see, the slot is there. And we've got these little metal pieces that hold the back. Pull that forward. And all it's going to do is push down. And you're going to do that on both sides. See, there's a little slot that just goes up in the lip. Pull it forward. Make sure it's lined up. Alright, and then we're going to put our final two screws in here. And last step is putting the trim pieces on. That is it. And we're going to just double check to make sure this works. We got it on spin cycle and it is spinning.